In 2020, the construction of a secondary school building was underway. The principal contractor engaged a subcontractor to provide carpentry services at the site. The subcontractor engaged a contract carpenter to provide labour to install roof trusses. On the day of the incident, workers of the contract carpenter were installing single-span flat roof trusses on erected wall frames. A worker stood on the top plate. A truss was passed up to him by other workers. As he was placing the end of the truss into position, the truss became unstable and the worker fell to the concrete floor slab. The worker suffered serious head injuries. Before the incident, a Safe Work Method Statement, SWMS, was developed, but it was inadequate because it was not site-specific. It mentioned multiple fall prevention options. It did not specify which fall prevention device needed to be used, and it did not state adequate temporary bracing for trusses. However, the SWMS did state workers must not walk on the top plate of external walls, and supervisors of the subcontractor were responsible to ensure the SWMS was followed. On the day of the incident, supervisors of the subcontractor were not present on site. Single noggins were used to temporarily brace the trusses instead of cord ties. Cord ties were part of the manufacturer's instructions and ensure the roof trusses are stable prior to attaching permanent bracing. The truss became unstable due to nailed noggins being used as temporary bracing instead of cord ties. Prior to the truss installation works, an EWP and a mobile scaffold was available on site for use, but were not used. The steps of the job had changed beyond the original plan due to fall prevention devices not being used. At no point did work stop, and the SWMS reviewed and revised. An investigation into the incident identified the subcontractor failed to prepare an adequate site-specific SWMS, stop work and review and revise the SWMS when the work changed, provide fall prevention devices, follow roof truss manufacturer's instructions, supervise employees and subcontractors, and provide employees with information, instruction and training on how to install the roof trusses safely. The contract carpenter failed to follow the SWMS, particularly in relation to not walking on the top plate of external walls, stop work and review and revise the SWMS when the work changed, control the risk of a fall, follow roof truss manufacturer's instructions and provide employees with information, instruction and training on how to install the roof trusses safely. The erection of roof trusses is high-risk construction work, as someone can fall more than 2 metres. When working at height, apply risk controls using the falls hierarchy of control. First, consider alternative designs for large spans and/or high trusses to facilitate safer installation. Next, consider using passive fall prevention devices like a trestle scaffold system, a scaffold on the exterior wall, a mobile scaffold, or an EWP. To further reduce the risk, provide information, instruction, training and supervision to workers to enable them to install the trusses safely, and follow roof truss manufacturer's instructions. Do not stand on or work from the external top plate. SWMS are required for high-risk construction work. When developing a SWMS for truss installation, consider the fall protection to be used, the type of internal platforms and ladders, how to manoeuvre trusses at ground level and at top plate level, how to brace and space the roof trusses to ensure stability. SWMS need to be site-specific and must be reviewed and, if necessary, revised whenever the high-risk construction work changes or there's an indication the risk controls are not working. Falls are one of the leading causes of deaths and injuries in construction. The highest level of risk control should always be implemented. This video was produced as a result of an enforceable undertaking between Tailoring Constructions Proprietary Limited and WorkSafe Victoria to raise awareness of occupational health and safety.